Alright, for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another one of the Amazon exclusive Galactic Odyssey sets, and this time around we are taking a look at the MICRON MICROMASTERS. And yeah, this is a neat little set, and what pays homage to a few different things. Right off the bat, I do want to mention this red piece here that I have on Wheelblaze and Roadburner is an edit that I made because it's more accurate to the original G1 toy. It's a little 3D printed part. Originally, the toy comes with this red or this black cannon here. It's just a straight up repaint of the direct hit and power punch mold, and it just uses the same cannon. And I didn't really think that worked that well with these characters, so I decided to 3D print a little part to replace it. And I was going to take it off for the review, but it's kind of stuck in there, and I'm pretty sure if I took it off, it would break. So just to, keep that in mind that this piece does not actually come with the set. But yeah, I figure we'll take a look at these guys individually, or at least in their little pairings. And yeah, we'll start off with these two. So the set, these guys are called Fireguard and Roadburner. Now, the reason that they did that, because these guys are an homage to the original MicroMasters, Wheelblaze and Roadburner, which were two MicroMaster combiners, which is what, the ladder look comes from, is because they turned into a little ladder fire truck type deal. Excuse me. But a few years ago, they released that MicroMaster 10-pack that I think was a Target exclusive, and one of the MicroMasters in there was also an homage to these characters, and they named that one Wheelblaze. It was just a single MicroMaster that didn't combine or anything. It was a repaint of the Red Hot mold. And so they called that one Wheelblaze. So then when they released this set, this guy couldn't be Wheelblaze, even though he's supposed to be Wheelblaze. So they called him Fireguard and Roadburner. And, just just in case that wasn't clear, these are two different guys that combine together. And this guy was originally supposed to be named Wheelblaze, but they named him Fireguard because they already used Wheelblaze. Whatever. To me, they're still, Wheelblaze and Roadburner, but, they just, I guess they're trying to, not use the same names on different characters. So whatever. I don't know if anyone really would have been bothered if they called him Wheelblaze anyway, and they have the trademark. So I don't know, but whatever. But yeah, like I said previously, this is a repaint of the direct hit and power punch mold, which also got repainted to be Moonrock and Missile Master for one of the other Galactic Odyssey sets. And yeah, they look good together. I like it a lot better with my little 3D printed edit here, because otherwise, these two would be identical aside from the colors. And I like it so that all three of them have something different going on. And now, since we have these three, we can kind of more or less kind of recreate the actual, original theme of the MicroMaster combiners, which is that you're supposed to, take them all apart and mix and match them to make a bunch of different funky vehicles and stuff like that. And yeah, you can kind of do that with these guys. The caveat to that being they are all just the same exact mold other than the weapons. So, like, you're not really changing anything about the vehicle other than the color scheme, whereas the original ones, it was like, oh, you'd have a military vehicle that ended in a dump truck or something like that. But the only other MicroMaster combiners that we've gotten more recently were the ones that turn into the space shuttle, and they have a completely different connection system than these guys, so you couldn't even really do that. But now that we have three different versions of this mold, you can kind of do it. And just for fun, since I don't have an original Wheelblaze or an original Missile Master, but I do have Moonrock and most of Roadburner. They are together. So you can see I'm missing a little part here on G1 Roadburner, the part that makes up the rest of the shovel. But there you can see sort of what I'm talking about. But yeah, they're pretty good overall. Again, like I said, it's just it's a reuse of the same mold that they've used a few times. It is a really good mold, but when you get right down to it, it is really designed to be direct hit and power punch, not the other guys, but it works well enough. So yeah, to transform these guys, you of course separate them just like this. You flip in this peg. And then for Fireguard here, or Wheelblaze, you untap the arms, and they come down on this little swiveled armature there. And then you take these sections and you rotate them down at the knee, untab them, and then flip these panels back to become the heels. And there you have Fireguard, aka wheel blaze in his robot mode. And then for him, you just take the back section here, rotate it down at the knee, untab the legs. Same thing with the arms, just untab them and then bring them down on a similar little armature there. And then obviously this is not a step for the vanilla toy, but for mine I have a little hinge here so that folds back, which he's kind of upside down from the way that the original Road Burner was, in that, you know, his head becomes the front of the vehicle, whereas his head becomes the back. So the little ladder section that I created ends up upside down, whereas originally it was supposed to fold up and sort of like chill out behind his head. Whatever, not too big a deal, but, you know, worth mentioning. But yeah, there they are together, and they're pretty good little figures, even if they are clearly, you know, just the designs of Direct Hit and Power Punch. No different heads or anything like that, articulation wise. His head is on a swivel, like the other uses of this mold. It's really tight and kind of not worth it, but it does physically swivel if you really need to have your MicroMaster look in a different direction. You might just have to use like a paper towel and some pliers or something to get it going, because like it's really like it hurts my finger more, you know, before it actually turns the joint there. But yeah, the shoulders are on ball joints, and then also this little up and down swivel section. Nothing at the waist, ball joint hips, and ball joint knees for Fireguard, aka Wheelblaze. And then Roadburner's head is also on a swivel, but is even harder to get to because of this huge plank that's in the way, and is just as tight. So, you know, you're supposed to even turn their heads around for transformation, which is just like not remotely worth it because they just end up facing the ground anyway. But yeah, it does physically move. Shoulder, ball joints there, the same little, you know, hinge sections there, though obviously it bumps into this piece a little bit sooner. Nothing at the waist, hip ball joints, and then just hinge knees. So yeah, they're pretty all right. I'll show them off with their predecessors again. Here we'll bring in Direct Hit and Moonrock here to show off with Fireguard. And yeah, I mean, you can see they're the same, but at least I decided to like put the paint apps in different places. I'm pretty sure that the original Wheelblaze, his head was either white or blue. I just know it wasn't yellow, which is kind of a bummer that they couldn't at least get that right. But it's, you know, it still works as a new update to this character. But yeah, like I said, you know, I still really, I think, prefer the the Direct Hit colors, just because I really like the color scheme of these guys with the ridiculous blue and hot pink. Like, I just think it works really well. But all three of them work relatively well. And then we'll bring back on Road Burner here with Missile Master and Power Punch. And yeah, I mean, they look good together. Like I said, you know, still I think I prefer the original use of the mold, and like they're really designed to be them anyway, like with all the sculpted details and stuff like that. But you know, it still works. And then while we have him here he is with the original Road Burner. You can see it kind of works. I do wish his head was also white like the original one, but whatever, not that big a deal. But you know, like, since these guys were all sort of homogenous and similar anyway, like a lot of the details transfer. Like, you still got the shoulders on the wheels on his shoulders here, and even like the, you know, the chest detail. While it is directly homaging Power Punch, it's sort of similar to the original Road Burner, where he's got like the little 2 circles of the lines there too. It's just now 4 circles instead of 2, but it still pretty much works. Like, I think that, you know, if they had just released this guy and there was no Direct Hit or Power Punch, it would still be a good enough homage. It's just really was designed to be those other characters. But yeah, that's the 2 of them pretty much. And now I'll bring on the next 2. Here we have, so what these guys are, this is Decepticon Motorhead, and what they call him is Decepticon Runner. Now, what these guys are is, well, first of all, they're a repaint of the Racetrack Patrol team that we had gotten previously, and they are the other 2 members of the Racetrack Patrol, because in the original, you know, G1 MicroMaster packs, they came in teams of 4 or in teams of 6 in the case of the combiners. And what we've been getting with the Siege and Earthrise ones are just 2 of the 4 members. And this is the first time that they decided to just round out the team. They might have been like the there might have completed one of the teams in that 10 pack that they didn't target, but I'm pretty sure that they only ever added like one or two other members of the other teams, not like all four. So I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've gotten all four of them, but you know, it works relatively well. And it kind of sucks that they're just repaints of each other, but you know, it is what it is. Now, this guy, so they've called him Runner, and the reason for that is the original name for this Micromaster is Barricade, and, you know, more recently, Barricade has kind of taken on a different character with the 2007 movie Police Car, and then they've kind of, like, soft retconned him into G1 by making him a repaint of the Prowl, Blue Streak, and Smokescreen mold. So they've kind of decided that that is Barricade. So now they couldn't call him Barricade, so they made up the name Runner for him. But yeah, you know, to me, he's Barricade. And yeah, they all four look good together. What kind of sucks about this set is, and this is also to do with these two, not just, you know, these two, but the colors are a little bit off because, like, kind of the gimmick of the original Micromaster teams was that they, like, two of them basically had reverse color schemes of each other, and the other two had reverse color schemes of each other. So, like, you know, the original Roller Force was pink with a blue body, whereas Barricade was blue with a pink body. And that is true here, but they're not the same blue and they're not the same pink, so it doesn't quite work out. And then with Groundhog and Motorhead here, one was yellow with a purple body and the other one was purple with a yellow body, but for whatever reason, they decided to make Groundhog blue now, even though he was originally purple. So this no longer kind of works. So it kind of all ends up resulting in, like, the four of them not really looking as quite as cohesive as a team, other than just, like, the types of cars that they are, which is, you know, kind of a minor nitpick, but it is kind of like it messes with my OCD a little bit. But yeah, they're pretty good on their own. I find that Motorhead's car mode is a little bit boring compared to Groundhog, just because, like, they don't have the flame deco anymore, and, like, now he's really just using Groundhog's shape. So I don't know, it's just kind of unexciting compared to the other car modes. But you know, I think Runner slash Barricade works relatively well. But yeah, to transform these guys for Barricade or Runner here, you take the arms and you want to untab them from the side, and this one arm is actually a little bit, the tab is pretty tight on there. And then you can take this back section here, kind of bend it down so that this roof section here can fold onto the spoiler, and then you continue straightening out those sections and separate them, and those will become the legs. And then you just take the front section here and flip it onto his back, and there you have Barricade or Runner in his robot mode. And for Motorhead here, the arms you also have to untab. I find it's easier to untab them like pushing down rather than out, because they clip in behind these sections here. So kind of like pull it down that way to get them out of the way. And that really loosens everything else up, where you can take the hood now and flip it onto his back, and then take the back section here and unfold it to become the legs. And you can just bring his arms back down, and there you have Motorhead there. And there they are together, and you know, they look pretty good. Again, I like the purple, but Motorhead is just a little bit more boring to me, and he's also got this is just on my copy, but he's got a little chip off of his visor there, which kind of sucks, but, you know, he's all right. I definitely like Barricade a lot more. I think they put a little bit more love into him, although, you know, obviously he's just the sculpt of Roller Force, so, like, he doesn't really have any sculpted detail that homages the original Barricade, but the original Barricade and Roller Force kind of turned into similar vehicles anyway, so it's not too bad, but really he is supposed to be more this color than this darker blue, which makes it kind of weird seeing him next to the new colored Groundhog too, just because they're both dark blue, but not the same dark blue, so it just kind of messes with that cohesion even more. But yeah, articulation-wise, nothing at the head. He's got shoulder ball joints. This one's like a little bit loose on mine. The other one is fine. He's got a waist swivel, which is nice. Ball joints at the hips, and then a little under 90 for Barricade here, bending at the knees, which is not too big a deal. And then for Motorhead, also nothing at the head. Shoulders are on ball joints. Also a waist swivel, also hips on ball joints, and then he's got a nice deep knee bend, just because, you know, that's how that works for the transformation. So yeah, they've got, you know, I mean, none of the MicroMasters are like overly posable, but it works well enough. And then I'll show them off again with those other two. There's Roller Force and Groundhog again, so you can see there we have all four of them together, and yeah, they just don't really look as cohesive without the, you know, in robot mode you could really see that a lot more on the original MicroMasters, how, you know, two of them just had color swapped version palettes of each other. And I guess it makes sense that they didn't want to do that, since now they're also using the same molds for them. So if it was just like these two were the exact same mold, except this one was purple and yellow and this one was yellow and purple, and the same kind of thing for these two, it's like, yeah, I could see why they wouldn't want to do that, just differentiate them a little bit more. But kind of makes me a little bit sad. But really, I think the biggest offender of that is Groundhog, who didn't come with this set. He was like the original release. It's just like, he looks good in blue, but he really looks good in purple, so I do kind of miss that, but whatever. But yeah, there they are all together. And then we'll look at our last two here, who are a bit different than the other ones, because they're actually not homaging original MicroMasters like the other four are. What they're homaging is another 80s toy line, the Mask toy line, which is basically you know, a bunch of also transforming vehicles, but they transform like from vehicles to other more weaponized vehicles, sort of like Omnibot style, I guess. But yeah, these two are homaging the Mask car Hurricane, which is funny because Hurricane also at some point was also a Transformers name, in that sort of like, I think it was a one of the UK sort of in between G1 and G2 Transformers. But so they did, I mean, they don't have the Hurricane trademark anymore, I imagine, but they call him Windstorm. So Hurricane, Windstorm makes sense, and they have him be an Autobot because this mask vehicle was originally a good guy. I don't know a lot about Mask lore, but I do know there were good guys and bad guys at least. But yeah, I love the deco on him with the flames. I think that really pops, and I'm a sucker for the seafoam green too. And yeah, it's pretty similar to the shape of that original vehicle mode from the Mask series. Of course, before it, you know, does all of its weaponized stuff. But yeah, looks pretty good. And then this one here, they call Decepticon Stingracer, who is who's an homage to the Mask vehicle Stinger, which was one of the bad guy ones. And it's kind of funny that they decided to call him Stingracer, because like I'm pretty sure Hasbro has the Stinger trademark, because like it wasn't that long ago the last time they released a Stinger toy. You know, the Stinger being the red sort of evil repaint of Bumblebee from the live action movies. So they probably still have that trademark, but again, maybe they just wanted to differentiate the characters. But that would have been a neat way to keep this particular trademark alive. But you know, maybe they were wanted to distance themselves from like just straight up doing Mask. But yeah, these two are a repaint of the the Hot Rod Patrol. I probably got that wrong, but but of Big Daddy and Trip Up here, which were like our first Earthrise MicroMasters, or Daddy-O as they called him. But yeah, they're you know, they don't really have any relation to these guys, so I don't really mind them reusing the molds. But yeah, they look pretty good in these colors, I'd say. For transformation, for Windstorm here, you just fold these pieces down and untab them. You know, a lot of these MicroMaster transformations are pretty similar. And then the hood section here just kind of tabs into both of these side fenders, and then it rotates down. And what's kind of cool on both of these guys is the hinge is actually the engine itself, which is pretty cool. It's a cool way to disguise that joint. But yeah, that just flips onto his back, and then you untab the arms, and there you have Windstorm in his robot mode. And then for Stingracer here, pretty much the same exact transformation, even though they're not the same mold, but you just flip the legs down, untab that engine piece from the fenders, fold it over again on the engine, and then untab the arms. And there you have the two of the Mask guys in their robot mode. And yeah, they look pretty good. For articulation, for Windracer, he's got, or Windracer, for Windstorm, he's got shoulder ball joints, although these huge fender sections sticking out do kind of get in the way of articulation and make things look a little bit silly when you like spread his arms too much, but they do move around. Nothing at the head. He's got a waist swivel, ball joints at the hips, and then a hinge there at the knees. And it looks a little bit silly because it's like, kind of low down on the leg, so it makes it look like he's just got like enormous like long thighs, but not too big a deal. Like the proportions on these guys are not they're micromasters, so not too big a deal. And then he's got pretty much the same articulation, shoulder ball joints, a little bit slightly more range, although like still you run into this problem. Although for him, I think it looks a little bit less silly for some reason, but it is the same issue of having those huge sections on the shoulders. Waist joint, hip ball joints, although just the way that his thighs are shaped, like you don't really get anything in between down like this or up like this unless you like have the waist rotated a certain way, and even then it just kind of clicks back and forth, but not too big a deal. And then hinge knees, and his look at least a little bit more better proportion, still a little bit silly, but it works well enough. Then I'll show them off with their original predecessors. Here's Big Daddy, aka Daddy-O, or whatever they called him, and Trip Up. And yeah, they look pretty good together. Now, I had a problem with Trip Up in that he has got like pretty much no heels, and there's like a tiny, like really, really, really subtle like raise there in the plastic that is just not enough to keep him standing. So he's kind of a pain to stand. And they didn't really like hard change anything about the mold, so it might just be like copy to copy, but that little tiny lip that they have there to have the heel balance is just ever so slightly more effective on Stingracer. So I find he's a lot easier to get standing than Trip Up, although he does still have that problem as well. They're both kind of a pain to stand, but he's a little bit more stable than Trip Up, I find. But, whatever. They look good together. And then, yeah, we can just bring on the whole pair, or the whole pair team here to wrap up. And yeah, it's a pretty good little set, homaging a few different things. That's not right. So many MicroMasters here, it's hard to keep track of them all. There's the whole set. And then just for fun here, we can also show off Runner, aka Barricade, with the other Barricade, who I think also was a Galactic Odyssey guy, whatever. But yeah, there they are together just for fun. But yeah, it's a fun little set overall. I mean, for some people, really, the draw to this set was completing the racetrack patrol team, and then for some people, it was like getting these mask homage guys. And yeah, I like all 6 of them. I think that these 2, like vanilla out of the box, are kind of the duds. They're just sort of less exciting for me, especially when they have this gray cannon instead of the red piece. It's like they didn't even make it red, which so it's like it's even less of an homage to Wheelblaze and Roadburner. But after doing my little update here, I really like these guys, and I just like having them with the other 2 uses of this mold, so that you can switch and swap them around. But yeah, they're all 6 of them are good little MicroMasters. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And yeah, if you have anything you want me to review, leave it in the comments. And if it's something that I have and something that I have interest in reviewing or have the ability to, because I can't review things that are like really too big with my current setup, then yeah, leave it in the comments and I'll let you know if I can get to it. But otherwise, here we have the Transformers War for Cybertron Galactic Odyssey Collection MICRON MICROMASTERS.